Okay. Well, I'm Commissioner Lori Sutton, privileged to serve as the Commissioner of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. And let me just express my delight to each of you for being here this evening at this, our very first Public Veterans Advisory Board. Give yourselves all a big round of applause, please. I have to start out by, first of all, thanking some very special folks who made tonight possible. First of all, we've got Dave Schmidt and his team from the CAU who have really come forward for us to help organize. Thank you. We have a number of volunteers. We've got volunteers who came forward from the Mission Continues, from Samaritan Village, from the DAV, American Legion, and the VFW. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much. We're also so blessed tonight to be hosted in this beautiful facility, the Family Justice Center, and I'd like to give Hannah Pennington just a moment to, give her a round of applause as well. Hannah, please just give us a brief overview.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm Hannah Pennington. I'm the Executive Director of the Family Justice Center, which is where you're sitting now. And I know you have a full agenda, but we love to open up our space to all constituencies of New York so they can see the work that we're doing here. So please, on behalf of Commissioner Pierre-Louis, my commissioner at the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence, thank you so much for all that you do. And actually, thank you for coming here and giving me a moment to speak about the work of our office, which works and will be working even more closely with MOVA in the future. In addition to the Family Justice Centers, which are one-stop shop for domestic violence victims and their families, we do a lot of outreach and awareness, which is what I'm doing here tonight. You made it easy for me. I just had to walk down the hall from my office. We did over 900 outreach events last week since our commissioner took office. It's, I don't even know the number anymore, quadrupled in size the amount of awareness, because we know that the most important thing is to make sure that everybody knows in New York City that help is available for victims and their families. And as I mentioned to the commissioner before our meeting, that certainly extends to veterans and to their families, and we're going to be collaborating with each other to make sure that all of our staff is trained in connecting veterans with services here, but also at the VA and elsewhere, and it certainly has come up, so we're excited about that. And what I wanted to, since I don't have a lot of time, I just wanted to share with you one campaign with us, which is easy for you all to look into, and as wonderful citizens that you are, you will probably want to join us in our effort. It's actually called an upstander campaign, so instead of being a bystander to the violence that many women and men and families experience, we want to be the upstander capital of the world. So we want to encourage people when they see things happening, when they hear friends make jokes that maybe make them feel uncomfortable, to speak up, stand up, learn about the resources that are available to people so that people can get the right resources to get help. So I encourage you in general to go to our website, which is at www.nyc.gov/domestic violence, and Catherine or somebody has some materials that we can pass out so you have it. And there's a lot of information there about statistics about how serious this issue is in our city and how high the numbers are. I mean, every day our police respond to over 700 calls of domestic violence. Last year there were 63 domestic violence homicides in our city, many less than they have in recent years, but still way too many. So please check out our statistics, but then look for our upstander video where our commissioner, the first lady, the mayor, are all becoming upstanders and making sure that we can all be ambassadors. So join us in that campaign. Good luck with your meeting and your endeavors. And again, amazing that we get to be the host to your first meeting. I'm sure a lot of good will be done in these meetings, and thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Hannah. Appreciate it. Okay, well, we've had a chance to get together over the last, hello. There we go. And get a chance to share some wisdom and make introductions, and we'll go through introductions in just a little bit. But let me just start with our outgoing Veterans Advisory Board Chairman, Vince McGowan. Vince, I'd like you to just take a couple of minutes to summarize your wisdom and any outstanding VAB actions for the new VAB to consider.
Well, welcome, everyone. It's really terrific that there is such a public participation in the first meeting. I hope it keeps up and increases. increases the volume. And as these meetings move out into the boroughs, I hope that we continue to keep them as populated as they are. It's really critical. As we spoke about earlier, before this meeting with the new members of the board, it's critical that we build relationships throughout the community so that we can actually be a united veterans community in New York City that's communicating with one another. This side of the table, except for Paul, goes back to the days when we were in phone booths with quarters trying to make appointments to go see everyone. Now we're flipping around on iPhones and Dick Tracy watches and all that that get us going faster than we ever thought we could. It's wonderful to see the level of communication and cooperation. In the past, it was done, through the efforts of the individuals on the board with their own resources and their own time, getting to know, going deeper into their community, the face-to-face with the veterans community, and that's how we kept it together. That network, if you will. Now, network means an entirely different thing. It means that everybody's connected on 27 different platforms, and we're all talking to one another. The success is going to be not in how many tweets you get or how many followers you get, but in how many times you can bring people out, how they populate your meetings, how they participate in the events, how they support the agenda of the different political bodies that this board will have to be working with, from the city council to the mayor's office to the different commissioners of the different agencies throughout the city. That is the critical path that will show the level of success that this board will reach by just asking everybody to stay connected. And I'm excited about it because we go back to the day when we have a former director of Veterans Affairs here, Bob Green. Bob,
yeah. Hey, Bob.
Bob. Thank you, Bob. Back in the days when, as a community, we struggled for recognition. Now we have a commissioner-level organization. We have an entirely different view of the world, thanks to the Iraq and Afghanistan, what we call inside the Vietnam Veterans Circle, the Veterans of Modern Warfare. Basically, everybody from the 90s Desert Storm 25th anniversary, hoorah, you guys, forward. There you go. Let's give them a hand. It's the 25th anniversary of Desert Storm. Everybody, it was easy when it was the big wars, World War I, World War II. It was difficult when it was Korea and Vietnam because nobody really cared. But now people care, and we have to bring them back to participate, to show their support in more tangible ways. So anyway, congratulations, Commissioner, for convening all this. And if you're looking at the documents that have been produced, you will see all the successes that we've had with no resources up to this point. So if you can assume that with the cooperation that we see by having the city council and the mayor's office here in the same room, and the combination of men and women that are being asked to serve on this board, it looks to me like we have a very good chance of a very successful Veterans Advisory Board going forward. So congratulations to all of you, and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much, Vince. Well, I would agree. The future indeed looks bright. And Vince, I just want to personally thank you. You have been such a source of wisdom and insight, and I know you'll continue to be. And let me just make it clear that, yes, we are bringing on new members of the Veterans Advisory Board, and we will continue to remain connected with every past member and everyone in our community who wants to be part of this movement going forward. We are so excited about this unique historic opportunity. Let me just take now just a few minutes because I wanted to share with you really an overview of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs since I was privileged to come on board in September of 2014. I have to say that looking across this room and seeing so many friends and colleagues and battle buddies and friends I haven't met yet, but who are here to express their support and to be part of this movement, it really warms my heart. I want to say a special welcome to our outgoing members, our current members, as well as our incoming Veterans Advisory Board members. We also have Gail Brewer, honorable elected official, who was here a little bit earlier. We've got distinguished members of the administration, Greg Bishop, Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Small Business Services. We've got members, Redmond Haskin representing Chairman Eric Ulrich from City Council. We've got VSO leaders. We've got veterans advocates from across the city, and we've got engaged citizens, family members. My partner Lori Leach is right here, and I just couldn't be more thrilled to have us all together as one group, one community, many voices, but our strength is in our diversity. I also have to say that please join me in recognizing members of Team MOVA. Mighty MOVA is on the move. We have Catherine Laporte. Come on out here, Catherine. Catherine, who is our Chief of Staff. We've got Letitia. I will tell you, I was fortunate to be able to bring Catherine on from day one in September. Everyone needs a Catherine Laporte in their life, and I feel fortunate to have her in mind. We also have Letitia Rousseau, who's coming in here, our community military liaison. Thank you so much, Letitia. We also have Inez Adan, who is our director of, here she comes, our director of Human Services. Thanks so much, Inez, for your... We are on the build, we are on the move, and it's now really my privilege to share with you a little bit of where we've been and where we're going. So tonight, I really, really feel so lucky, so blessed to be your Commissioner of Veterans Affairs in the Mayor's office here in New York City, the greatest city on earth. You know, an overview of MOVA's mission historically. We've provided services. We've connected veterans with a variety of resources across the city, state, federal, public, and private. You know, here in our city, we've got over 225,000 veterans. You add another 20,000 retirees, military families, and it really brings the population to over 500,000. That's a lot. And we're fortunate at MOVA. You know, we coexist with Veterans Hall. If you haven't been by to visit us, on any given day, you'll see members of the 12 veteran service organizations that coexist at MOVA, including the American Legion, Veterans Are Still Warriors, VFW from the NYPD, as well as the United War Veterans Council. You know, I assumed my duties back in September of 2014 when Mayor Bill de Blasio appointed me as commissioner for the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. I committed to conducting a 90-day assessment, which I've done in every military assignment that I've had for the last 25 years. And so it was really a privilege to be able to assess not only MOVA's operations, but community needs, not-for-profit services, just really to have a full court press tour of the 5 boroughs. I briefed my findings, my recommendations to the leadership of City Hall, as well as the New York City Council in person, to the Committee on Veterans Affairs through Chairman Ulrich, as well as the general public via sworn testimony in February and March of this year. My assessment resulted in several key new priorities. The top tier includes the Mayor's pledge to end veterans' homelessness in New York City, the holistic mental health strategy for veterans and their families, partnering with the First Lady, and our City Employment and Recruitment Initiative, where MOVA is working with city agencies to adopt best practices in recruiting, hiring vets for city career opportunities. Some of you don't know, but for example, DCAS, and that's my key word here, yes. Let me just introduce you to Wayne and Michael, without whose efforts here tonight we would not be recorded, we would not be filmed. Thank you so much for your work, Michael and Wayne. Way in the back. But just as an example, during my assessment, I found out that at DCAS, in the trade positions alone over the next 3 to 5 years, over 80% of them will be available because folks are retiring. There are jobs available in DeWitt. There are jobs available across the city. We want to move from being an office that's been sort of in receive mode for so many years and with so much good that has gone on. We are building on that foundation. we are now preparing to really take things to the next level of full court press engagement, leveraging the unique relationship we have with our mayor, with the city council, Chairman Ulrich and his team, as well as the state, the feds, and this vibrant city with all of its various domains here in New York. So my assessment also included a listening tour. And I engaged in meetings, over 250 meetings with offices and agencies, veteran service organizations, membership organizations, educational, healthcare programs, public and private organizations in all 5 boroughs. It really was a delight, and as I said, out of that assessment came our new strategic priorities in the top tier, as you just heard. Ending veterans homelessness, holistic mental health strategy, working with the First Lady, and then, of course, bringing the city services and jobs to the fore. And that's just the beginning. We also had a chance, I was invited to present during 2 VAB meetings during 2014. We had 4 lunch, listen, and learn sessions. We're going to continue that tradition where we bring in 20 to 25 organizations and individuals at a time to be able to share what they're doing and to figure out how we can collaborate together. Our community program visits. Boy, I'll tell you, we had a chance to visit the treatment courts, to go to places like Samaritan Village, Fountain House, the medical treatment centers at the VA, the Benefits Administration. We visited IAVA, the vet centers, Bob and Lee Woodruff Foundation, the Intrepid Museum. I could go on and on and on. It was really a great way to get a sense of everything, all that makes this the best city in the world. And of course, my bias is that we've got the best veterans community in the world as well. I had a chance to meet with federal and state officials, including the Secretary of the VA, the Deputy Secretary, the Undersecretary for Benefits, and many, many others. We've also engaged on the MilVet front. I had a chance to meet with Chancellor Milliken. We're so pleased to have Samuel here from CUNY, coordinating and serving as a student veterans advocate for all 24 campuses. We look forward to broadening and deepening that MilVet engagement. The City Council hearings. We've had 6 hearings so far, 3 of which took place in 2014, and of course, city agencies. We had a chance to visit with over 30 commissioners. We're still on that tour and really getting a chance to learn about everything going on across our city and to figure out how we can bring more of that forward so that it's accessible to veterans. One example, when I was meeting with Commissioner Julie Menon, who heads up the Department of Consumer Affairs, I just asked her, Commissioner Menon, what do my veterans need to know about what your agency does? She didn't waste a second. She said, you know what? I'll bet some veterans probably had some financial issues. They need to know about our 30 financial empowerment centers across the city. To this day, I have not run across anyone who knows about these financial empowerment cities. But I'll tell you what, that's not going to last long. We're going to get the word out there and bring these services forward in tandem, in partnership with all of the other care services and support that are going on, the resources available in our city. We visited with the Public Advocate's Office, all 5 borough presidents, the Chambers of Commerce, and then, we joined a bunch of task forces. There's good stuff going on in the city. So we joined the Behavioral Health Task Force, looking at the criminal justice system, the Department of Corrections, and we're continuing to work with them. We've worked very closely with Small Business Services and the Mayor's Office of Contract Services because we know that, almost a third of veterans want to be their own boss. They are entrepreneurs. We have several of them here tonight. Brendan Hart, I know, is back there someplace. We've got Mike Meeks. Where are you, Mike? We've got a number of great veteran entrepreneurs in our community, and we want to work with them. I will tell you that we're going to give Greg a chance to talk just a little bit about SBS during the public session, but the ball is in our veteran business owners' court right now. The PIP portal is up, and so we just got to get folks to enroll in it so that we can see who our veteran business owners are and better support them, better bring opportunities forward to thrive. We also joined the Veterans Homelessness Task Force. I was elected to serve on this task force. We meet weekly with the first deputy mayor, a bunch of the commissioners. We're tracking and monitoring these results and really working to make veterans homelessness a thing of the past. We've still got a lot of work to do, but I'll tell you, this is important. This is sacred work, and I'm privileged to be part of it. We're working with the ID NYC. Some of you have heard about the municipal ID card. we're really excited about adding a veterans designator to the municipal ID card. And we'll need your help in deciding, how can we really make this veterans designator count. We're also working with DCA, the Department of Consumer Affairs, to make sure that we strengthen our ability to thwart financial predators who prey on veterans and their families. And so you'll hear more about that going forward as well. Of course, our community events, ceremonial support, that's always a part of the MOVA mission. It's not all of it by any means, but we feel very privileged to be able to support ceremonies and community events across the city. Additional selected actions in 2015, the Mayor's State of the City address and his commitment to end chronic veterans homelessness. The First Lady, we took her on a tour, a holistic tour of veteran services here in New York City. We met with 13 organizations, including IAVA, The Mission Continues, Exit 12, StoryCorps, Outside the Wire, Team Red, White, and Blue, and others. We took her to see an animal therapy program at the Manhattan Street VA, music therapy. We took her to Burrell's program, the art therapy program at Brooklyn, as well as to Fort Hamilton, where she could meet with some military spouses. And of course, our mayor signed 3 veteran bills into law, reforming the VAB. That's led us to where we are tonight, and this is just the beginning. We really are just on the threshold of a whole new chapter of veterans history here in New York. And of course, the VAB appointments. The mayor appointed 6 wonderful new VAB members to fill expired members' terms. The Speaker has filled 1 new member, has extended 2, and there are 2 more appointments from the Speaker that are due in June. So we are just thrilled to have this diversity of background, of experience, of eras of service, of branches of service, and we will truly go forward stronger together. MOVA's also collaborated on updating the city's flag lowering protocols. Seems like a simple thing, but boy, it's so important when we lose one of our own to make sure that we have the appropriate respect and honor for our fallen comrades. And lastly, our day-to-day constituent services. This is bedrock MOVA mission. No one ever sees it. It goes on day in, day out. Letitia and Inez really are masters at this. We've assisted since September over 750 veterans in person, on phones, on email. Our outreach has included over 10,000 who've received information about MOVA, about veteran services here in New York City. And of course, we will always continue that bedrock mission. But we are at a point where we really can. We can engage in this transformational shift. We can become forward-facing, engaging our vets and our families. We can move from shelters to homes, from health care to wholeness, and we can move from jobs to careers. So at this point, I'll end my formal remarks there and come back at the end of this meeting with my call to action. But at this point, I can't tell you how delighted I am to be able to turn it over to our members of the VAB. I'd like to start with our former members, our outgoing members, and then we'll shift gears into our current members. And let's just take it around the table. Paul, let's start with you.
You want comments now also, ma'am?
No, just introductions right now would be fine, Paul. Thanks.
I'm Paul Rakoff, CEO and founder of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans America. I live in Manhattan. I'm an outgoing member of the VAB.
Great. And Paul, maybe if you can just give a little background. You've been on the VAB for 5.5 years now? Okay. And as we've talked about, we will continue our engagement and our partnership going forward. We are all in this together, so thank you so much, Paul. Yes, Pat.
Okay, good. There will be an opportunity for comments later from my stuff, right, ma'am?
There will be, Paul. No question. Okay, great.
Okay, my name is Patrick Devine. I served in Vietnam as a combat Marine with Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, and came back, got involved as a veteran advocate, joined the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs in 1989 from the beginning with John and a couple other people. But my activities is with the American Legion. I'm a past post, county, district, vice commander for the department. Right now I am the chairman of homeless veterans for the department for the American Legion. I'm a volunteer at the Bronx VA Hospital. Right now, as a matter of fact, I just joined the Veterans Treatment Center, the council to be a mentor, I should say, for the guys that got jammed up in the criminal system. And as far as general things is talk about Community Planning Board. I've been a member of Community Planning Board 10 in the Bronx for 38 years. So I know a little bit about what's happening. Okay.
Thanks so much. Okay. John.
Hi, John Rowan. I'm the National President of Vietnam Veterans of America. Excuse my voice, I've got a cold. I've been involved in veteran stuff in New York City going back to Mayor Lindsay, dealing with stuff in those days in the old MOVA. How many remember the original MOVA? The second MOVA, because it was on top of the old MOVA. And I was served in the Air Force in Vietnam, and I was an intelligence analyst, linguist, and I also have been involved with community boards. I served on them, and I was a district manager, the first district manager for Community Board 4 in Queens. So I know that side of the house as well, how they function. I'm retired from the city of New York. I was basically an investigator and district manager, investigator in the city council, investigator in the controller's office was my last post before I retired in 2002. And since then, I've been national president of EVA. This is my 10th year. I've been reelected 4 times. I'm going for 5th. Unopposed, amazingly enough.
Thanks so much, John.
Well, I've already had my chance, but after 4 years in the Marine Corps, 2 tours in Vietnam, and coming home to what we came home to in New York in 1968, it's a big change. I've also been on the Community Board 7 up in on the west side of Manhattan, and I've recently retired. I was in business in New York City for 17 years as a Marine veteran running 4 bars and clubs up and down the west side during the great years of New York City. We had a great time. You should have been there. You can remember it. But after that, I managed for New York State all the property south of 59th Street. So Hudson River Park and Battery Park City were my beat. And we organized it as you would a Marine Corps fire team. Everything is in units of 3. If you ever notice how the New York State system works going south of 59th Street. The Marine Corps worked for me. I hope it works for everybody else. We still have a few Marines left on the team.
There we go. We also have Wendy McClinton was not able to be here this evening, as well as Lee Cavino. But they are, Wendy's term goes through June, and Lee Cavino is stepping down. Also, Charlie Greinsky is a new member of the board, president of the Jewish War Council out of Staten Island, and he is at his synagogue, I believe, this evening. He dialed in earlier for the meeting to meet everyone. So let's go forward now with Mariel Juarez.
My name is Mariel Juarez. I'm a social worker with the Staten Island Vet Center. I'm a 2-time Iraq veteran. I was outreach coordinator with the Manhattan Vet Center before. I've been with the VA since 2006.
Great. Thanks so much, Mariel.
My name is Samuel Innocent. I am a 7-year Army medic, Afghanistan veteran. I'm currently working for the CUNY. Can you hear me now? All right. So I'll start over. Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samuel Innocent. I'm a 7-year Army medic. I was with the 10th Mountain Division and West Point. I am a 7-year Army medic, Afghanistan, 2006, 2007. I currently work at the CUNY Office of Veterans Affairs, working on student veteran advocacy and educational issues surrounding our student veterans.
And how many student veterans at CUNY, Samuel?
So right now, an approximate number, because I do count, is 2,784, and that's what we can track. And then for many reasons, there are veterans which we cannot track, and that takes us upwards of 3,000.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Tony Odierno. I'm an Army veteran. Served in the infantry for 6 years. Deployed to Iraq in 2004. Was medically retired from the Army in 2007. Currently working for J.P. Morgan Chase on our military and veteran programs. We have a variety of programs focused on employment, housing, and education for military service members, veterans, and their family. I'm also the chairman of the board of the Wounded Warrior Project. I've served on that board since 2009 and became chairman last year. I'm honored to be appointed to the Veterans Advisory Board. I look forward to serving all veterans in New York City and advising Commissioner Sutton in the mayor's office on these very important issues.
Thanks so much, Tony. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Jules Martin. I'm a Navy veteran, 65 to 69. After leaving the Navy, I joined the police department where I stayed for about 30 years. They tried to kick me out, but I stayed there for 30 years. After leaving New York City Police Department, I retired from the New York Police Department as a bureau chief. After leaving the department, I joined NYU as head of their security department. And last year, in March of last year, I retired from NYU after 16 years as their vice president for global security and crisis management. And I'm so pleased to be here and part of this board.
Thank you so much, Jules.
Hi, I'm Todd Haskins. I spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, 98 to 04. I've been in New York for about 10 years now. Microphone on? I shut it off. There we go. Todd Haskins, spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, 98 to 04. I've been here in New York for just over 10 years, lived down the street in Manhattan. I work with Goldman Sachs in that capacity. I have a day job there, but also run our veterans programs. And also, we've been excited to help start Veterans on Wall Street, where we've worked with a lot of other corporations and clients to help think through the veteran strategies and veteran hiring strategies. Hopefully, we can bring some of those learnings to this. Very excited to be involved and really hope to make a difference.
Thanks so much.
Good evening. My name is Charles Hernandez. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up right here in the Five Points. Served in the World Trade Center with my first Sergeant Major here. I was the liaison for the mayor's office at OEM. And from there, we got activated to Iraq in 2004, 2006. Came back home, went back to work with the Board of Education as assistant principal. I ran the schools up in the Bronx, the suspension sites, all of them in the Bronx. So, and then from there, they thought it was best. I thought it was best that I take a leave, and they retired me out because of the conditions that we developed. So I have enough time on my hand, and now that I'm part of this group, so it's even more exciting. So I got to fill in the blanks in my days, and now I could work with you guys. So thank you for having me aboard. Thank you.
And Valor? And Charles, I just want to give a shout out to Valor, your service dog, Valor. Valor's now taking a bow, so that's great. Thanks, Valor. Okay, well, thank you so much, each of you, for your service, both your past service, ongoing service, new service on the VAB, and again, as I said, we are all working together going forward. We are stronger together. So I am just really, really delighted. Can we have just one last round of applause for everyone who has served in his service? Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're really delighted to welcome Redmond Haskins, who has right here, Redmond, a statement from Chairman Eric Ulrich.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. My name is Redmond Haskins. I'm Communications Director for Councilmember Eric Ulrich. He's the chair of the Council's Veterans Committee. He couldn't be here tonight. Next time he will, but I have a statement I'm going to read on his behalf. It's from the council member along with the Veterans Committee, the four other members. Dear Veterans Advisory Board members, please accept our sincerest congratulations upon your appointment to the Veterans Advisory Board. The board plays an important role in helping veterans and their families in New York City. The Mayor, Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs Commissioner, and the City Council all rely on your work and expertise to better understand the challenges facing local veterans and to respond with constructive initiatives and legislative action. Your appointments, coupled with the recent reforms that were signed into law last month, will usher in a new era for the VAB and our city's veterans. We have full confidence in your work and look forward to collaborating with the board on ways to make New York a more veteran-friendly city. Thank you for your service to our city and country. Very truly yours, signed, Councilmember Eric Ulrich, Chair of the City Council's Veterans Committee. Committee members Paul Vallone from the Bronx, Paul Vallone from Queens, Fernando Cabrera from the Bronx, Andrew Cohen from the Bronx, and Alan Mazel from Brooklyn. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Edmund. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over, Vince, to you for reviewing the minutes. We don't have a lot of formal business tonight because we've got so much in the way of introductions as well as the overview, but we do have minutes from the last VAB meeting, which took place on January 26th this year in Chairman Ulrich's office. So,
And what I normally would do in a case like this, these minutes went out back in January. What they referred to is the three intros, 600, 611, and 613, that were ultimately passed. So it's old news. But we haven't had a meeting since then. This will be the first meeting of 2015 of the required 5 meetings. And if do we have a quorum with the new board? I'd like to get a vote on the minutes to be accepted.
So moved.
Okay, a vote on the board, so moved. All in favor? Great, thank you very much. This is a very significant piece. You know, it kickstarts the new way that the city and the veterans community are going to communicate and participate with one another. So it was a critical time to be together. I want to compliment the chairman of the city council and his staff, Eric Erwick, and all the men and women that work around to make this happen. Really did a great job in setting the stage for Commissioner Sutton's opportunity to bring it all home for us. So thank you, gentlemen, for voting this as part of the itinerary for the meeting. And we'll move on to the next agenda item.
okay, thanks so much, Vince. Let's see, the next item here is to just establish the date of the next VAB meeting. I think we're learning about the location. Since this is our first public meeting, we've learned that it really does help. Wayne and Michael have helped us here. It helps when the AV inputs are built into the facility, so we'll be looking for that next time. But in the previous deliberations, the date that seemed to work out best for the majority of the VAB members is the 17th of June. So that will be our next VAB meeting. We will have that posted on the MOVA website a week in advance, and we will also certainly have the location at that point. We'll be in contact with the VAB members in the meantime. And let me just say something now to just make something very, very clear. This is the last time that you will see me in this role at a Veterans Advisory Board meeting. The purpose, the role, the mission of the Veterans Advisory Board is to advise both the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, me as the Commissioner, and the Mayor, as well as City Council and the Speaker and the members of the City Council that are working on issues related to veterans. And so what we're planning to do is to give the new VAB members a chance to get to know each other. Then the following 2 appointments in June will round out the team, and so at the next meeting, the new VAB will have a chance to vote in their chairman, their officers, and I will definitely be in receive mode as we move forward and engage on these important issues. At this point, let me just say that we're at the time of the meeting now where we'll have an opportunity for members of the public. I know that a number of you have signed up. Catherine, I'm going to ask you to help us organize this process. I would say, let me just remind ourselves that the purpose of this meeting, it is a meeting. It's a community meeting of the veterans community. It's not a hearing. So we do have hearings, and they're extremely valuable. I've certainly learned so much, but this is a meeting. And so any issues that are raised, we would just ask that they be brief, 1 to 2 minutes really max, particularly at this meeting where our time is limited, but we do want to hear from you, and we want them to be issues of general concern to the veterans community. Certainly, if you have a personal issue, we'll be glad to follow up with you one-on-one. So, Catherine,
I'd like to add that for this meeting, there's one representative per company or organization.
Okay.
First up, Samuel Mantilla with the DAV.
Sammy Mantilla. When I mentioned the volunteers earlier tonight from the DAV, from VFW, from American Legion, it's Sammy and Sandy and John and Jose. And so, Sammy, you're representing your group. Thank you.
Yes,
Please.
hi, my name is Sam Mantilla. I'm the past department commander for the DAV. The de Blasio administration has shown a strong commitment to veterans by making veteran homeless his top priority. Families of the veterans know better than anyone the importance of these issues, and the mayor is a great example. He is a son of a combat injured vet. It's clearly a personal issue for him, and a veteran can relate to that. The efforts to engage veterans directly, the Veterans Organization has been refreshing to see. Vets response really possibility to the mayor's appointments by General Sutton. Hoorah, ma'am. She's recognized a natural leader and knows better than anyone the needs of vets. General Sutton has clearly made an effort to go out and not just to talk to the community about her priorities, but to listen. What programs has the administration issue is political, I'm sorry. I need some water. The dog is killing me, I'm sorry. We have discussed two programs in particular with the Veterans Group the most. We are excited to address ending veteran homelessness, addressing the mental health needs of veterans. Let me tell you something. It's what we hear, we must stick together, what we're doing here, because this is the only way that things are going to work. You know, I believe in four things. And I said that when I was a state commander. Communicate, respect, integrity, and hope. And if you have that, we can move forward. We can move mountains. We can do things right. You know, the whole idea is basically communicating. And once we get that going, man, believe me, we can move mountains, man. We could do a lot of good things for us vets. Myself, I'm a retired drug enforcement agent, so I can relate to you. I was out. They took me out. Why? Because I was shot on the job. I'm out on 3/4. Plus, I'm a vet myself. However, like I say, united we stand, divided we fall. We have to stick together. That's all I have to say. On behalf of the DAV, God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Sammy.
James Meeks.
I erred in calling him Mike Meeks earlier, but Jim, please come on up here and.
Maybe it can be stricken from the record. We'll go with James Meeks.
Thank you.
My name is James Meeks. I was wounded when I was serving with the Army in OIF-2. I was medevaced by the Marines. I was treated by a naval surgeon. And then I was airlifted to Landstuhl, Germany by the Air Force. So I'm a big believer in the joint force effort, and I love the diversity that's on this table here today. So thank you all for the work that you do. I'm currently the CEO of Move Systems, where we're committed to changing the face of mobile food vending in New York City. And when I took over the company and I found out that because of an 1890 statutory law, there's a special permit for disabled veterans, I said, well, these are the people who are going to have to get our food carts first. And I'm happy to announce that we have signed 100 disabled veterans to start their own businesses. And not only are we trying to provide them with the 21st century food cart, we're also trying to make sure that they have all the skills necessary to survive as small businessmen and women. And we've had a great partnership with First Aid of Salutes and Syracuse University, and the Institute for Veteran and Military Families have come and trained our veterans in all the entrepreneurial skills that they need to be successful out there on the streets. In turn, we're also encouraging all of our veterans to sign up for the PIP and to make sure that they're on the city's database so that when Commissioner Sutton needs to cater this next event, she can use one of our veterans and one of their great new food carts. And I just would like to say to this committee, as you're continuing the great work that you're doing, always think about where public-private partnerships can move the ball forward. And we at Move Systems are thinking constantly about how to make veterans better business owners. And I think with the coordination of this committee and with Commissioner Sutton, we can do a lot to really raise the stakes for small business owners in the veteran community. So thank you very much for your work.
Jim.
I want to say one quick thing on this. The food vendors weren't covered, by the way, on that law. I'm sorry? It was only for street vendors. The food vendors weren't covered. I thought it was on, sorry. The street vendors are only covered. The food vendors were never really had a set aside for veterans. Most of the veterans' preference disappeared years ago, unfortunately, because of the Department of Consumer Affairs changing its regulations. One of the things you might want to do is have a conversation with the commissioner to talk to the Department of Consumer Affairs about changing that back again.
I agree.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
And I just would like to interject that this is a public segment. And when you come up to speak at the mic, you're talking to the VAB. They are your representative, and with a direct line to the commissioner and the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. Next up, Greg Bishop with SBS. Deputy Commissioner.
Good evening. I'm going to have to hold the mic. So I just wanted to actually congratulate the new board and congratulate the board for your service and really just give you an update as to what's been happening. I think Commissioner Sutton has alluded to the fact that we've had a lot of collaboration since she's been on board to really focus on how do we help veteran-owned businesses. For those who are not familiar, Small Business Services, we are an agency started a couple years ago to help businesses start, expand, and operate. We also help unemployed New Yorkers find jobs. So we were the agency that worked with MOVA to look at a couple things in terms of how do we help small businesses. So number one, we released a report, which if you have not read it yet, should take a look at that in December 2014. We had a couple things that came out of that report. We worked with a consultant company. One of the things that we recognized was that we need to increase our outreach to the veteran business community. So we are working with MOVA for a number of our initiatives to reach out to the community to make them aware of the free services that we offer. Those services include helping veteran entrepreneurs. So we have courses at our business solution centers. We have 7 across the city, which helps entrepreneurs. We have a course called 10 Steps to Starting a Business. We also have another program which we just actually graduated 21 veterans from it, which is called Fast Track New Venture for Veterans. So this is a 4-week program where we help veterans learn financial management, a number of things that you need to think about when you're actually running your business. We also help businesses through learn how to sell to government. So we also have a procurement technical assistance center. We want to make sure that the veteran community understands this because we help businesses and also veteran-owned businesses understand how to sell to New York City. And you heard Pip mention a lot. It's called the Payee Information Portal. If you are thinking about selling to the city of New York, that's your first step. It's also helpful for us because we then can have a more accurate count of how many veteran-owned businesses are ready, willing, and able to do business with the city. Those 3 things are very important to us in terms of when we look for contractors. But we do also help veteran businesses learn how to actually do business with federal and state agencies at no cost. We also help provide veterans with skills training. So at each of our Workforce One centers, we also have a Priority One specialist who helps place veterans into jobs. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of the services that we are working with. I do have some materials here that talks about the services across the agency. That I will leave here and for the public to take. But we are very excited to work with Commissioner Sutton and moving forward to helping the veteran community. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Greg. Great.
Okay. Bob Green. And if you could please state your organization.
My name is Bob Green. I had worked for the VA for over 30 years, running a number of programs. Started in the Vet Center program, ended my career running the OEF program at the VA Manhattan Vets in Brooklyn. I was also the director of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs in 1990. This was establishing the agency. In 1975, as most of you know, being cut the whole program, and Ed Koch promised to bring it back. He did. He put in Bernie Edelman and Mark O'Connor. When they were in that office, they were actually in the Tweed building on the top floor next to the supply room. And you had to get there. You had to go up in this old elevator in a cage. They were virtually non-existent. Then we moved to 346 Broadway, and I met wonderful people like John and Vince and Pat Devine. And we really started to rebuild the veteran community. It was a very different world then. And we didn't have much of an advisory committee. The city council wasn't even interested in appointing people. This is how much the world has changed. But that being said, I wanted to come tonight. I wanted to first commend Commissioner Sutton for bringing this group together. I had no idea of what this group would look like in its complexion. I think it's going to be a very good advisory group. I think there are fabulous things you guys can do, and gals. It's only limited by your own creativity. This is the city of New York, and you can build things. And Vince is certainly a good example of that. He was always there at my side, pushing me to do one thing or another. And so was John, lecturing me. He was the city council side of things. But we did some great things, and I'm very glad that you folks are here to participate in making things better for the veterans of the city of New York. I had one thing I'm thinking. As everybody went around the room, I felt there was one group of veterans who really were not represented to the extent that they might be, and that of peacetime veterans. Everybody here, I think, is a combat veteran who served during an era. Maybe two people didn't, but I think that the largest group of veterans next to Vietnam veterans today are peacetime veterans, and they have benefits and entitlements, and many of them don't think of themselves as veterans, and that's really a tragedy. And they have benefits and they've earned these benefits just like we have too. And so I just want to have the group think about that too. That's our hidden population today. So thank you for what you folks are doing. I'm delighted to be here and watch all this go on. The world has changed, and I'm happy to see it's going in the right direction, I think. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Kristen Rouse.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kristen Rouse. I speak for the New York City Veterans Alliance. I'm an Army vet. I served 3 tours in Afghanistan, one with Sam, who I'm glad to see. It's great to see you, Commissioner. Thank you for being here, and it's great that this is now open to the public. And I welcome all the new members of the VAB, and it's great to start getting to know you. It's great to hear that after 7 months of you being Commissioner, that the mayor does have a plan for New York City veterans, and it was great to hear you speak to that, Commissioner. And so I want to ask you, Commissioner, and the rest of the members of the now moving forward VAB, how, with no significant increase to the budget for MOVA, there's so many important things that you mentioned, Commissioner. It's great to hear about veteran homelessness and that the mayor's prioritizing that, and mental health and jobs. But so with no significant increase in budget or staffing, how are you going to oversee these different initiatives? So, last summer before you came on board, we were sad to see that MOVA lost 3 veterans benefits counselors due to lack of funding. So that was a loss last summer. A lot of us have been feeling like the mayor has, that like he cares more about what Iowa voters think than what veterans think in this city. Some of us feel abandoned by him after his term in office. But so how will you oversee the $3.4 million grant that the city gets from the Obama administration to target veteran homelessness? That's a federal program, and we haven't, we heard that the mayor prioritizes this in the state of the city, and that was great to hear. He didn't mention it was an Obama administration initiative, but it's great to hear that that's a city priority. But we haven't heard yet what's the city doing differently than maybe other cities that are touting success right now, like New Orleans, for example. So it would be great to hear about that. How will MOVA, with no new significant staffing or budget, oversee the discretionary funds that go from City Council to different VSOs for specific purposes? Maybe they overlap with the priorities you mentioned. Maybe they don't. I'd be interested to hear about that. The Veterans Employment Program that you mentioned are fantastic, but we were sad to hear that the mayor actively lobbied against the pension buyback bill that passed the New York State Legislature last year that would have extended eligibility to Afghanistan veterans because he said it cost too much, and so the governor vetoed it. So we were concerned about that. The city offers civil service credits to veterans, but there is no across-the-board hiring preference for city government. There's that. SBS last year recommended against making veteran-owned businesses competitive with minority and women-owned businesses for city contracts. Interested in why that is. Just a lot of questions, Commissioner, about how is all this going to play out. You mentioned very important priorities. This is all forward progress. I think all of us here will agree on that. But there's some very specific problems that need addressing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, and I'd like to remind you that you should be addressing the VAB. It's a VAB meeting. Brendan Hart.
Hi, good evening. I'm an infantry Marine. I serve with Fast Company. I work with startups. So just 2 very quick points. Thank you, Commissioner. You've been receptive to our ideas, and we look forward to working with you in your office moving forward. And to the VAB, I just encourage you to think expansively about how we can localize talent, how we can build off-ramps out of the military to New York City, and specifically how startups, small business, can work with industry, not necessarily on the procurement side. That'll sort of work out how it works out, but how we're able to build bridges between industry and veteran-owned startups in New York City, how we can create that virtuous cycle that localizes talent and gets some startup movement. So thanks for all you're doing. Thanks for all you've done, and we'll continue to do. But really, thank you.
Dan McSweeney.
Good evening, Commissioner and Chairman McGowan. I just want to welcome the new members of the VAB and thank the outgoing members for their service. My name is Dan McSweeney. I'm the incoming president of the United War Veterans Council. The name of our organization says it all. We are united. And so I think anybody that's in this room understands there was some spirited discussion leading up to the meeting that we have right now. In my mind and in the minds of many people, we need to look past that because those are aspects of civic participation that need to occur. But at the end of the day, no one's going to represent us as well as we represent ourselves. So I want to thank the VAB for your commitment. I welcome everybody as the incoming president of UWVC to the America's Parade on November 11th, 2015. That's going to be a great way for all of us to show that we're united in New York City and that this is the best city in the country and the world for veterans. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Jason Lampert.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Lampert. I am the new financial coach from the CFPB's program to provide financial coaching to veterans across the country. My area is New York City, so I have basically everybody. The program, which has not yet been announced, so please don't call the media, is out there to provide financial coaching. Well, I asked about this. This is going on the CTV, not out to the. There are 40 financial coaches that are being put in place around the country to provide financial coaching specifically for the 9/11 veterans and transitioning service members, because it was felt that coaching is not a service that is generally provided. Often services are very focused on specific goals. And, a veteran is generally never, our coaching client is never asked, what is your goal? Coaching is about creating forward goals that is driven by the client. And that's why I'm here today and why I've been put in place in Brooklyn. My office is in Brooklyn. But I can see clients from all over the city of New York to have them come in and talk about what their life goals are. And I am employed by the Armed Forces Services Corporation, which is not a government agency, but is under contract. So it's not a financial services company. I'm just there to listen and help provide some support and accountability and move transitioning and 9/11 veterans towards their goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jennifer Rivera.
Good evening. Thank you to the new VAB and welcome aboard, and thank you to the board that's leaving, the old VAB. No point intended. And so my name is Jennifer Rivera. I'm the Director of Human Resource and Veteran Affairs for Fountain House, which is an organization, a mental health community organization in the middle of Manhattan on 47th Street. And so I was privileged and honored to host an event in which the First Lady, Shirley McRae, and Commissioner Lori Sutton, and 13 other VSOs came to Fountain House, and I hosted an event there. And it was fantastic. It was wonderful to see how the community, the VSOs, are all interested in working together as one. And so anyone who's interested in coming to visit us, we are very interested in our model of mental health and community mental health, which is something that's really, really important for the veteran community, is a model that's been replicated all over the world. And so anyone who wants to come and visit Fountain House, please do so. We're on 48th Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. 47th Street, I'm sorry. I've only been there for 13 years. We're on 47th Street. And I welcome you to come and visit us. I'm also a member of the American Legion, and I also wanted to let everybody know that I'm taking a course at Pace University in entrepreneurship that's sponsored by Blackstone. And I took the course to audit it because it's free for veterans. And I wanted to see if it had value. And I want to encourage people who want to go to this course to take the course. It's a free course for veterans. It's 7 weeks. It's very intensive, but it really helps veterans that are interested in entrepreneurship experiences. And that's all I have to say, and I'm really welcome. And I want to encourage the VAB to come and visit us and to perhaps help me create organizations like Fountain House to support veterans, support themselves in the mental health capacity. Thank you.
Joseph Tiralongo.
Good evening. I enlisted into the Marine Corps and participated in Desert Storm, Desert Shield to establish the 36th parallel. I am currently a VFW National Aide de Camp for the local area, VFW District Senior Vice Commander, VFW County Commander. For the Catholic War Veterans, I'm the 3rd Vice for the Department of New York, and I'm also the County Commander. I serve on the Selective Service Board for the draft, mentor at the Brooklyn Veterans Court, and the Brooklyn VA. I volunteer as much as whenever I have some free time. With the VFW legislative chair, we're working on services for reservists, where they got out of service. They did 18 months. They served in a theater of combat, and they're not entitled to full benefits for the VA hospital because they need 24 months, not 18. Also, their education is half paid for instead of fully paid for. We also have reservists, active duty reservists, doing the drill pay weekend, and then they're unemployed, and that's what they're living on. So we're also working on redistricting some of the veteran service organizations. For instance, I belong to District 1, which is Brooklyn, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. District 2 would be Staten Island, Bronx, and Manhattan, just to name a few. And there's some more upstate there. So we're working on to redistrict, to combine them, so this way we have one voice across the city. So one side is not hearing something, and then the other side is hearing something else. One of the mottos, one of the service organizations, VFW, is no one does more for military and veterans. Let's work on something like that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joe.
And so with our first open session, we have 4 organizations and veterans that wish to speak at 2 minutes each. That would be how many minutes? Okay. Just doing a time check. Okay, next up, Hector Class.
Hello, my name is Hector Class. I am the service officer for the Blinded Veterans Association. I am also the co-chair for the Bronx and Division co-chair for the Mental Health Veterans Advisory Boards. And the reason I'm here today is first to let you know that I'm here, but also I'm here to speak for the disabled because I deal mostly with the blind, and also for mental health. And one of the goals that I would like to see the council deal with is some of the deals with issues with the blind and trying to get more services for the blind and trying to correct some issues within the city to help with the blind, but not just the blind, but also people who are paraplegic, who have lost limbs. Sometimes they have issues with their housing or getting services and transportation. The other issue that I want to deal with is mental health. I'm working on trying to get more awareness for suicide prevention. I know a lot of veterans that are coming back, they are very depressed, they don't know where to go to, and sometimes they need the support of other veterans like ourselves to help them find the right way, and trying to reduce the stigma of mental health that oftentimes veterans feel that they can't come and talk to someone. And I always say that the only time that a veteran can, the most person that a veteran can relate to is another veteran. And we together as veterans, and hopefully working with the council, working with mental health with our advisory board, and with other veterans, we could stem the tide of this the suicides in the veterans. I thank you very much and have a good day.
Brett Marash.
Thank you. My name is Brett Morash. I'm the Vice President at Services for the Underserved. I'm a retired U.S. Naval officer, and I retired from the Navy 2 years ago before I came into this job. And since then, we've become one of the largest provider of veteran services in the city, primarily focused on housing supports, employment, mental health, and suicide prevention in the city and the surrounding counties. One, I would like to start by saying I look around the board and I see people like Sam, who I work with on a day-to-day basis to get the ball moving down the field toward veterans coming out of poverty and living fulfilling lives. And I ask you to really focus on who the big providers are, what's really going on at the kind of deck plate level to get veterans out of homelessness. I've seen the numbers go down since I came aboard 2 years ago last week, go from about 3,000 homeless veterans in shelter to about 850 today. My concern that I'm bringing up to you is that as we approach that kind of steady state number, what does that really mean? What are we going to do as a community to really deal with that? To the point that was brought up a little earlier about the amount of money that the Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs has, they're really kind of the cheerleader and the quarterback for a lot of this effort because there's multi-millions of dollars of federal funding. We happen to be receiving a large amount of that at SUS, but a lot of the big providers like Help USA, Samaritan, et cetera, are also in the same boat. The job of the MOVA office, in my opinion, is to really kind of help lead that effort toward that. And I know the mayor's on the same task force I am for the Exec Committee of Homeless Prevention. But I really am concerned as we approach that number that people will start to declare victory with veteran homelessness because we reach what is referred to at the VA as a zero, functional zero. I can't even say it. It's so horrible. Because, I want no veterans in shelter, and I think that everyone here believes that. And I think we need to keep driving toward that effort. So my kind of call to you is that because I see people here that are not only advocates but also in the trenches helping veterans, is that you continue that effort and really focus. I would also say that since I've been here, and I don't know much about the Veterans Advisory Board before now, to be honest with you, but I do know that I've seen a huge change in MOVA moving forward in a very focused effort. The two things we're involved in besides housing's one. The other one is coordinated supports. We're the quarterback for NYC Serves, the coordinated effort. Right now, we're only at 40 providers, and I see a lot of the folks around here like IVA, et cetera, who are part of that effort as well to do coordinated services. But we're adding more providers in starting next week. We'll try to do 3 more a week as we kind of move forward. Unitas, I think I saw Dan Brillman around here earlier too, if he's not still here. They're the software, the entrepreneur behind that, and I think that's also a major effort that we really should be looking at is how do we get veterans that are smart like Dan Brillman to come back here to be entrepreneurs in New York City, whether it be Silicon Alley or something like that. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fred.
Okay, and Anthony Shaw.
Good evening, Commissioner, board members, and fellow comrades. My name is Anthony Shaw. I'm a mentor for Queens and Bronx Veterans Treatment Court. The issue that I have is veterans that are incarcerated. I've been to a couple of forums, and it's the sense is that there is no information for veterans inside of Rikers Island and different institutions that say that they are eligible for Veterans Treatment Court, which I'm affiliated with. So there has to be a more outreach for veterans to know that they are eligible for this program. And I will be the liaison if you want to let me. But it should be an initiative that veterans can go into Veterans Treatment Court instead of being in criminal court, because they are in programs and veterans are in Veterans Treatment Court, and then other veterans are not in Veterans Treatment Court. And it should be an outreach for veterans to have an option to go into Veterans Treatment Court, to get a mentor like us.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Okay, VAB Board Commissioner, an honored guest. That concludes our speaking for today.
Okay, please give everyone a round of applause who stood up. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, so let's go around quick. And I know that we're running a little over time. If you have to go, if you've got a previous commitment, no worries. Wayne, can we go on just a little bit longer? Can we keep going? Okay, great. I think it's important to be able to have this chance. Just let's go around, and then I've got a call to action.
You guys can hear me, right? It's Paul Reichoff again. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I want to especially thank the IAVA members. We've got over 10,000 members in New York City right now. Our rapid response referral program, the one-on-one support, served over 2,000 veterans here in New York City. And I want to thank everybody for the leadership. This is my last meeting, and one thing I wanted to do as I departed was to share my recommendations and our recommendations to the VAB in order for them to be successful. I shared some of these earlier, but I think it's important in the public forum for folks to hear what we've been laying out. We are all in this together. There are 200,000 veterans across New York City. We're a powerful, dynamic, incredible community. We're not a charity, we're an investment. But unfortunately, right now, the investment is not significant. The VAB cannot be effective if they don't have resources and power. And what we said earlier, I know Vince said it, this committee does not have resources and it does not have power. So I said it earlier, that, the worst thing is not saying no. The worst thing is saying yes and having it be hollow. And I think so far the mayor has not been a leader on veterans issues. The mayor has not prioritized veterans affairs. New York City can be the best, but we have some catching up to do. The mayor did oppose the pension plan. In a budget of $72 billion in this city, we've got less than $500,000 designated for veterans. So your budget is a reflection of your priorities. If this committee and MOVA don't have the resources, we will be outgunned. So we've got to be honest about the fact that for the mayor to be successful and for Commissioner Sutton to be successful, she needs the beans and the bullets for the fight. We have supported her. We still support her. She's an outstanding leader. We're lucky to have her. But the mayor has never met with the VAB. I've been on it for years, and Mayor Bloomberg didn't either, but Mayor de Blasio in a year and a half almost has not met with his own VAB. He's not here tonight. He very easily could be here tonight. He went to Iowa. He made time for a lot of other organizations and communities in this city, but has not met with the veterans leaders. So I offer it up to him as an opportunity. We don't want to fight. We want help. And I think we are at a tipping point with the new VAB. We congratulate them. We need you guys. We're lucky to have you out in front. But the mayor's office did not support the creation of a city Department of Veterans Affairs. Other cities have it. We don't have an actual Department of Veterans Affairs. Councilman Ulrich deserves credit for listening to the community and presenting legislation that now has over 40 co-sponsors that would support a legitimate department. I also just want to note, because it was made apparent on the steps of City Hall the other day, a lot of the VSOs are not represented on this new VAB. The VFW has issued a statement. They are not represented. The IAVA is not represented. The New York City Veterans Alliance is not represented. And we need more than rhetoric. We need outcomes. So I appreciate everyone's energy, and I think we have an opportunity ahead. But we've got to challenge the mayor, and we've got to challenge the city council to get serious. Because so far they have not been serious. And I would not be doing my job as a member of this committee if I didn't say that. And I know our members feel the same way. 85% of IAVA members in New York City do not feel like the mayor is listening. Only 5% had confidence in his leadership on veterans issues. So they have spoken, and they've spoken on City Hall, they're speaking on social media, and a lot of them can't be here tonight. And I just want to put it out there to the community to say we must be tenacious, we must support the VAB in order for them to be successful, but they need real resources. And the resources that have been allocated by this city are pathetic. It's pathetic. We have 200,000 veterans in this city, and it breaks down to about $1 per veteran. So, we represent a tremendous investment, but it's got to be backed up with real leadership and real support for General Sutton to be successful, for the VAB to be successful. We're united, but we need reinforcements. And that's the message I just want to put out there. And I also just want to thank, I did this earlier, but the older veterans who came before us. The VAB would not exist if not for you. You guys laid down the groundwork when this city was not welcoming the veterans. And you've always warned us, take advantage of the opportunity, fight hard, because your war will be in the rearview mirror soon too. And we know that. So we have a tremendous opportunity in the next few years to take advantage of the national attention, the city's focus, but that window is not going to last forever. So we got to hit it hard, and most of all, pay respect to the guys who came before us, because without you, there wouldn't even be a VAB.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I said older, wiser, maybe.
John, okay, sure. John, did you have?
Yeah, I have a couple of things I wanted to just react to. Suicides. There's a lot of emphasis today on the suicides of the newer veterans coming home. Unfortunately, 60% of the vets who die, and that number you hear all the time, 60% of them are over the age of 50, which means they're Vietnam vets, not young vets. Yeah, there are a lot of young vets, and every one of them is a sad story that should never have occurred. And thank God we're hopefully getting more access to the help that they need. but the older guys, the Vietnam vets, are unfortunately revisiting a lot of stuff they should have buried 50 years ago, and it's killing us again. No, the other thing is, I got a thing for everybody in this room to do right now. So if you got a pen, write this down. If you don't, I hope you have a good memory. There's a new piece of legislation. I'm going to testify at a hearing on it on Thursday in the House Subcommittee on Health. It's called S911. That's Senate, no, excuse me, S901. I keep getting 911 in my head. S901. That's the Senate number. The House number is HR 1769. HR 1769. The bill is called the Toxic Exposure Research Act of 2015. I'll repeat that, Toxic Exposure Research Act of 2015. What this legislation will do will set up research on the effects of toxic exposure, going back to the AO days of us in the Vietnam era, right up to burn pits in the present day wars and everything in between, like the Desert Storm cocktail out there. But they're going to look at the effects on our children, our grandchildren, et cetera. Because there's a lot of concern that, unfortunately, as bad as Agent Orange was on the Vietnam vets, it's hurt our kids and our grandkids even more, and we're afraid the same thing's going to happen with the next vets. So remember to get that bill. Call your representative tomorrow. Call your senator tomorrow and tell them you want that bill. It's very simple. The Toxic Exposure Research Act of 2015. We feel very good about it. We think we got a lot of support, but you never know until it's done. Also, for some of you might want to look at some history. My organization's website's real simple. It's victorvictoralpha.org, VietnamVeteransOfAmerica.org, VVA.org. If you go to that website, on the right-hand side, you'll see some YouTube stuff. And there's 3 segments of a YouTube thing that really was an interview Gabe Pressman, who some of you may know of, did with myself and 3 other Vietnam vets back in 1982, when we were just starting to raise money for the New York City Memorial. And I was kind of snarky in the interview, which is not surprising given how pissed off I was in those days. I've mellowed in my old age. Not much. But anyway, I think if you watch that, it's only about 20 minutes combined in the 3 segments. You'll get a real feel of what the problems were with Vietnam veterans and how we felt on the way home. And as you review it, the one African-American gentleman, Mark Stewart, was a sad story because not long after that, he went down south, retired, went and got a PhD in education, and then as he got older, flipped out and drank himself to death because he had severe PTSD. And when knowing that, when you look at that, it gets even more poignant. So, I mean, it's an interesting little viewpoint of what happened, what do things look like in 1982, and I think even some of you new vets might understand a lot of what's going on with yourselves as well. So I offer that to you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Yeah.
I've said all I've got to say.
Anything
Pass it on
else,
to the new guys.
Okay, let me just close up our meeting tonight really with a call to action. I want to thank every member of the VAB, past, current, ongoing, incoming. I really look forward to the way ahead. I want to thank every single person who is here at this meeting tonight, those who spoke, those who listened, those who, as importantly as anything else, are prepared to go and act. Just as the first sergeant and sergeant major are here, they got your back, Charles. We're all in this together, as Paul said. We've got to work together. I urgently request the VAB's active engagement in our top-tier strategic priorities. If you know developers, landlords who can help us out, bring them forward. On the mental health front, clearly, we know we've got miles to go on that, and we will. And also on bringing the city resources, jobs, and services forward. To all within our community, I would just say thank you for your energy, your ideas, your enthusiasm. I see that as a positive. I know that we have not only the best city in the world, but we also have the best veterans community in the world. And I'm so excited about standing on this brink of unprecedented, yes, need and opportunity. We may not always agree, but let's always look for finding common ground, moving forward. All veterans' voices matter. All will continue to be respected, heard, and engaged. Finally, I would just say, please join Mayor de Blasio, myself, Team MOVA, Veterans Hall, and the Veterans Advisory Board, and our entire community in this historic movement. It is a movement. Let's roll up our sleeves, prepare to move to 1 Center Street coming up this summer, and together let's keep after it. MOVA truly is on the move. Thank you so much, and good night.